Welcome to Esoteric Thoughts. Today, our special guest is Stevie Noah. Hello, Stevie.
Hello, thanks for having me.
Stevie, can you start by telling us a bit about yourself and what you do?
Yes. So I was raised in a high control environment, a religious environment, and uh, coming out of that and going through all of the processes to redevelop myself and redevelop my identity. I now have come out the other side, and at this time, I do religious trauma work. I'm a religious trauma specialist, and I help people really get over the triggers, the trauma, the identity that they were raised in or forced to believe in, so that they can create a life they love, so they can go out there and have great relationships and really just transform their life from typically very repressed and suppressed and upset and depressed and anxious to happy, joyful, great relationships, going for jobs they love, and just really transforming that identity with them.
What exactly is religious trauma syndrome?
Well, religious trauma syndrome has been described by other psychologists and psychiatrists and stuff as that breakaway. So it comes from the dogma in the actual religion. So that high control, forceful thinking, not allowed to ask questions. And it also comes from the breakaway of that, when you decide to leave, and typically you're kind of ostracized by your group of people. And so, and then going out into the real world and having to think for yourself and make decisions, it's a huge ordeal. So I like to say that it's very much a form of CPTSD, so complex post-traumatic stress disorder, which would be more of it's kind of a repeated experience of interpersonal violence, really. Even if that's not physical, which a lot of times it can be, depending on what cult or religion you're involved in. A lot of times it can be very much a mental and emotional type of violence. And, when you're subjugated, you're not able to grow. They've even shown, the prefrontal cortex, when you're not able to ask questions and decide for yourself and all of that, it changes the development of the brain. So religious trauma really, I believe, for to keep it easy, is a person having to pull away from their old identity and create a new one. And it's that space in between where they're completely lost, confused, worried, fearful, don't know what to do next, and really just sort of had the rug pulled out from underneath them, feeling alone.
So people contact me about leaving religion, but they're very apprehensive to do so, as they feel a need for an immediate replacement, a substitute belief. Why is this?
Great question. This is what I call cult hopping, right? Because, and I did it myself. There's such an identity with, it's two things. It's biological and it's conditional. So a lot of people don't know, when they've been taught for many, 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 many years that they have to look outside of themselves for any answer to any question, any hope, anything. That's the conditioning. Let's start with biological. Biologically, our brains are set up for survival, and survival requires us to have a tribe, to have a group, to be involved, to belong. And when you decide that you have to break away from that tribe that you've belonged with for so long, that's a huge breakaway. That's massive. And then when you're conditioned on top of it through fear tactics, might I add, there's a huge condition about you're wrong, you can't live without us as a tribe. You can't live without the God that we've chosen, that is the, and this belief system. If you do, there's punishment, which creates fear in this person as well. So there's a lot going on, and their entire identity is like, if they want something, they reach outside of themselves. If they make a new decision, they make sure that it's okay with the tribe and that the tribe will approve of it. It's like they haven't developed, I say they, but I was in the same boat, haven't developed that identity where you can make that decision and go, yeah, that's right for me. I'm going to wear that outfit. I'm going to take that job. I'm going to take that, relationship and go for it and run with it. Everything is based on the identity of their religion. And so it's hard to, it's like it's like anything else. When you lose something, you want to fill it with something else. And so cult hopping occurs. They go from, I think, what did I do? I went from my parents went from Baptist Christian to, my mom was Catholic, then Baptist, then Pentecostal. So she did it as well. And when I left, I tried everything under the sun. I checked out Scientology, Seventh-day Adventist, what else? I got into witch, being a witch and doing all that stuff. You name it, I tried it. So then I did Buddhism for a while. I mean, it's hilarious because I just didn't know who to turn to for help or who to ask or whatever. And so that's what I'm looking for. And also a tribe, who can I hang out with that would understand me? Because we don't typically, coming out of those situations, we don't even have a secular tribe of people that would understand what we've been through. They don't. And so if you share these experiences with these new group, a new group of friends that has no idea what you've been through, they just kind of go, yeah, whatever, don't take it seriously. So that's why people need a substitute belief. They've broken away in both biologically and conditionally, and they need something to fill that space. Hope that answers the question.
Yeah, it does.
Yeah.
I find that a primary belief in Christianity is consequential suffering, the fear of being punished, going to hell if you don't follow and obey. This is a concept that's implanted in the brain from memory of children. Is this a form of mental abuse?
Absolutely. Absolutely. Think about it this way. In a family of thieves, the one that doesn't steal is the one that's out, right? So in a family of believers, the one that doesn't believe is the one in the wrong. And so the whole basis of any religion, it doesn't matter what you choose. It can be the beautiful ones like the Jains or the Buddhism, or that for that matter. But the foundation is that you are wrong, that you are impure, that you need something else to be whole. And so again, when that's coupled with the fear tactics, and really it's a gaslighting situation. This hell belief system is used as a gaslighting tool to make you behave, to make you believe. And it is very much abuse. It is very abusive, I would say, especially to children, because kids don't need these existential issues that adults seem to just put on them. They don't come into this world believing that there's something wrong with them. And when you take a child and you tell them not to put their hand on a hot stove because it will burn them, of course the child's going to believe that. But then you take that child and you double that and say, something like, if you put your hand on the hot stove again, not only you're going to get burned, but Jesus is going to see that. And that means you're going to get a tick, and that's a potential for you to go to hell. Now this child's thinking about death. They're not allowed to be a child and learn without, some sort of fear involved. Like it's a big thing. So yeah, absolutely. I believe it is totally a mental abuse situation. And it allows, again, that gaslighting. So parents can hold that over their kids' head. Every time I got in trouble, it was never just that I was learning about life and learning how to, behave in society. It was that I am wrong, I am dirty, I am a sinner, and I better watch out because Jesus is watching. So it just doubles it, triples it, makes it worse. Yeah.
And I find that these same individuals, they struggle with the concept of religion versus spirituality. Can you clarify the difference between religion and spirituality?
Definitely. Religion is very dogmatic. So religion comes with a set of rules. It comes with structures, if you will, in place that are not to be, stretched, are not to be challenged, are not to be questioned. And anyone that does, either has that existential fear put over them. There's a lack of being able to identify with yourself again. So here's spirituality. Spirituality is typically very open. Spirituality is a general sense of being connected with the joy, what makes you happy, what fills your cup, what really just makes your heart burst. And you can feel spirituality. You can feel when you're connected, if you're in nature or however a person chooses to be connected to that higher part of themselves. But religion has the structures in place, the rules, the dogma, the expectation, and the punishment outside of it, whereas spirituality doesn't have that. You can question spirituality. You can choose your own path. You can, go down crazy ones if you want to, or you can keep it as simple as you want to, and you can question everything. So big difference, I believe. Yeah.
The church does a very good job in getting the older members, especially those either approaching or in retirement, to do extra work for the church. And these members tell me that whilst they no longer believe in the teachings of the church, they find it really hard to break away, as suddenly they realize their whole life revolves around the church. They are socially, emotionally, and culturally tied in. What advice do you have for the older generation in this situation?
Such a good question. But my answer is going to be the same as the younger generation. We now know that neuroplasticity is a thing. We now know that we can change our brain. We now know we can change our nervous system. So it's about reconditioning. So if an older person has the wisdom and the intelligence to know that that system is no longer for them, it has to be a choice. It's a choice that, they've got to choose, okay, I still have time and I still have meaning and I still have purpose. I'm going to get out of this and I'm going to find a new group. I'm going to recondition my nervous system so that I'm not afraid. Typically, the reason they're staying, even if they don't believe anymore, is those two things I said before, the biology and the conditioning. So biologically, they don't want to lose their tribe. They don't want to lose this group that they've been around for a long time and have to start over. I know it's hard. It's like, it's kind of like dating when you're much older. It's like, where do I even begin? But there's so many opportunities now for people to get together of different, coming from different beliefs or even into different hobbies or different, things that people want to do. So like go painting, find a paint group. What do you love to do? Do you like to go for walks? Find a walking group. It's that kind of thing. So it's that you've got to find a new tribe and you've got to recondition the nervous system. Triggers are a big reason that people stay, especially older people, because they're literally full of them. They hear the word hell from anyone or in a song and they think, and it sort of gets them and they're like, oh, but what if it is real? It's like, maybe I should stay with my old group and do all the things the pastor wants me to do. So triggers is going to be a big thing to get rid of. And again, reconditioning that nervous system and finding a new tribe. So exactly the same as I would tell a young person. We don't have the excuse of I'm old and stuck in my ways anymore, because we know about neuroplasticity. So if you want to leave, you do it and you find a way. And because someone is older, I just want to throw this out there. Typically, an older person has a lot more resilience and tenacity, typically, because they've been through life, they have wisdom, and they have resources. They know that they've gotten through tough times before. And if they use that, because a lot of people just put themselves down trying to get into something else or trying to change. Remember what you've been through. Remember how far you've come. Remember what you can, the toughness that you've got and the ability to go out and make new friends and do things that you've done it a million times before. So if you can take that and run with it and believe in yourself just enough to start getting out and about with a new group of people, it will make a massive difference. And you won't be subjugated to the pastor in the church anymore, just doing free work for him regularly. Yeah.
Can you give us 2 examples of real cases where you've advised on RTS?
Yeah, that's a good question too. What specifically are you kind of looking for? Because there's many, many things that I've done with people.
So I'm interested in more of the extreme cases of what people have actually been through, and their struggles with leaving and the reasons why they've really struggled in leaving their respective religion.
Great. Okay. So without sharing too many details, there's definitely been people that have been they've been sexually abused, right? Or they've been very mentally and verbally abused by even parents, told that they, weren't allowed to leave, told that it was their fault when uncles did things to them, or, that kind of stuff. So there's a lot there. Here's the thing though. It doesn't matter where you're coming from. Trauma is trauma. I've also had people just like, they're just crying all the time, won't get out of bed, have no meaning or purpose. And that's the biggest part, when you're leaving the church or when you're leaving a religion, that's your whole meaning and purpose has been taken away from you. And again, you're not knowing who to turn to and what to do. When you're full of anxiety, depression, triggers, and even addicted to fear and anger and unworthiness. I mean, these things the church gets you addicted to every single Sunday or more, sometimes Wednesdays. In my case, it was Sundays and Wednesdays, plus, a little extra outside break-off groups. You are spending hours upon hours upon hours training yourself to feel sorry for yourself. I'm apologizing, feeling guilty, feeling unworthy, feeling shameful, asking for forgiveness. People have trained themselves going through religion to feel these things on a regular basis. These become addictive in the nervous system, and when you break away from that, you're still going to have them, but now you've got no one to pray to supposedly get rid of them, even though because it's always a male god, wasn't getting rid of them before. So to swing back to your actual question, it again comes down to the nervous system. So when I work with someone who has been severely abused by the church, we take it slow, right? I start to teach them little by little how their unique nervous system has set up the pain, the fear, the memory of that traumatic event or multiple, with complex post-traumatic stress disorder. It's an onion, we're peeling layer by layer, but we've got to do it in a way that's fun. We can't continue to bring up the past and re-trigger the crying and the bad feelings, because that is what the person's addicted to already. So little by little, playing with this in a new way with things that the nervous system loves, like colors and shapes and sounds and feelings in certain areas of the body. As a person starts to feel out these memories in a new way, that's made, coming from curiosity, and, dare I say, a little bit fun, even because they're actually learning about themselves. These old triggers, the old memories, even the nightmares, the insomnia, all that sort of stuff starts to fade away quite quickly. And they're able to keep the wisdom of the experience. That's really important. And nobody forgets these things happen to them. They just stop getting triggered by them. The memories stop repeating the ruminating thoughts over and over about that situation and how they could have done something different, or how it might have been their fault. That ends. And they begin to, as they begin to rebuild the life, and that's the biggest key. I do want to say that it is so important to, when someone's coming out of that situation, to start rebuilding a life. So someone who's been abused in any sort of way, the first thing I do is find out what they want, because it is the last thing that they actually know. I'm not kidding you. Every single person I get on the phone has no clue what they want in their life. They know that they don't want depression, anxiety, the church, the triggers, the memories, all of that. And so when I ask them, so what do you want? Every single one, 100% of the time, says, I don't know. Okay. So it's really about finding that, because here's the thing. If you go to Spain, for instance, right? Or you go to anywhere in the world, and you've got no map, but you want to go see these certain things, you got to find a map. You got to get a map to get there. It's the same thing with the body, the brain, and the lifestyle. If you want to have a life you love, relationships you love, not have fear and anxiety or anything anymore, then you've got to know where you want to go, and you got to know what that feels like. So what I do with people is get them to understand what that feels like first. And when they know what that feels like, at least even a little tiny bit, then we can go back through all these little triggers that they're having and all these little things. And again, play with them in a fun way. And it teaches them not only how to neutralize those triggers, not only neutralizing those old feelings and memories, but also they've got something to strive for. They've got new meaning. They've got new purpose. They have a reason to get out of bed in the morning. They're excited. They have something to look forward to. And so it all starts with that, no matter what happens to them in the church. What do you want? How are we going to get there? Let's get rid of the triggers and clear the path so you can get there. Okay.
How does one identify signs of someone who may be experiencing RTS?
Ooh, I would say, you mean in themselves or just other people, or both?
I think more in terms of somebody who can see that somebody else is struggling, but they can't. They especially. I've been contacted by even some parents whose children have got into various religious groups, and the child isn't talking. They're not sure how to approach the child. They're not sure what these signs are. So generally, what exactly is the best way for somebody to identify these signs?
Yeah, typically, I mean, if you want to keep it super simple, it's two things. It is high control environment and all these symptoms, right? Not being able to make choices for themselves, anxiety, depression. If it's something like that, what you're talking about, where parents are they're involved in it. I think they're involved in something. You're probably right. They probably are. And especially if they're getting rid of all their old friends, if they're coming from a secular environment and going into a cult, they're getting rid of all their old friends, and their life is not, it's not abundant. They're not getting out there and enjoying life and not having a really good time. They're not being loving and happy, but they're starting to close in. Then yeah, they're probably involved in some sort of high control environment. Excuse me. For someone who has it themselves, excuse me, early morning. For someone that has it themselves, it's very easy. Again, it's those two things. I've been in a high control environment. I have anxiety. I have depression. I can't make decisions for myself. That's a huge one. Either way, can't make decisions for myself. Can't take on certain jobs. Can't have certain relationships. Have been cut off from a lot of things. It's those two things: high control and symptoms. Really, symptoms.
And
last. Sorry.
That's fine. That's fine.
Okay, go on.
And lastly, Stevie, if anybody wants to contact you, how can they contact you?
Yeah, definitely. Go to stevienoah.com. And there's a contact form on that page. You can find me on Facebook, Instagram, everywhere. I'm about to get on TikTok. Not my favorite, but anyways, part of them. But my handle is at I am Stevie Noah. And you can email me. I email support@stevienoah.com as well. But on my website, I've got those a free giveaway. It's a mini course, and it really gives you those first steps to getting out of that mindset around control. It's really important that you choose a few things, that you start. Choose a life you love, choose to be the predominant creator in your life, and choose to live your own true nature and purpose. Now, those three choices can feel really like so out there, okay, when someone's first getting out of this. But in that little course, not only am I going to help you to release triggers, I'm going to help you to start choosing that and knowing how to feel, how that feels like, and make those decisions. And also getting rid of the fear of hell, getting rid of the fear of, these are erroneous fears. You were not born with them. They were given to you. And so fear is driving you mostly if you've been involved in these things. And so that free course will help just to start washing away that fear. And you're going to do it yourself, because that course teaches you how to feel it in your body and change it right there. So go to stevienoah.com to find me.
Stevie, thank you for your time today.
Thank you very much. It's been a pleasure.